Okay, good morning and welcome to your first Meet Your Future session. This is the Education and Early Years 2025 webinar. I'm Felicity, I'm part of the Education Work and Skills team of the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. For those of you who have joined us before, you might be aware that Meet Your Future was launched in 2019 by Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester, to give young people like you the chance to meet real employers and explore different career paths. So we've developed a suite of information, resources and services that are here to help you. This can be found on GMAT. The link will be popped in the chat, which many of you will already be familiar with, but you need to speak to your teacher to find out more about that. So we hope that this session inspires you and helps you feel more confident about your future in Greater Manchester. In today's session, you'll be hearing from Newbridge Group, Multi-Academy Trust, and so please make sure you put any of your questions in the question box or any thoughts throughout the session. You'll see this on the right hand side of the screen, and we'll be publishing any questions that come through. So please ask your teacher to put anything in the box, and we'll cover these in the Q&A session at the end. If you'd like to use captions or subtitles during the event, please select captions/subtitles on in your video controls. So I'll hand over now to Waj from Newbridge Academy Trust. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Festival of Technical Education and to Newbridge Multi-Academy Trust. My name is Raj, and I'm a Level 3 Business Administrator working at the Newbridge Multi-Academy Trust. We work to support young people, children and adults with additional learning needs. You'll find us all across Oldham, Tameside and Rochdale local areas. But hey, perhaps you already know a little bit about us. So, with that being said, why don't you take a look at what we have to offer?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Liz, and I'm a qualified teacher that now supports Newbridge employees with their own training and development. My journey into teaching began a good few years ago. Perhaps like you, I didn't always know what I wanted to do, but I became inspired by one of my own teachers. The rest, as you say, is history. I've worked in education for over 30 years and have now worked for Newbridge for 10. I began my journey, like you, at a secondary school. I completed my GCSEs, followed by a move to a sixth form college where I studied for my A-levels. During this time, I also worked at a baked potato takeaway, a greengrocer's, a factory serving breakfast and a baby wear clothing company. So a year from education helped me to save some money, but also decide where I wanted to go next. I ended up going to Liverpool University, where I studied for 4 years. I qualified as a teacher and started teaching primary school children. My career has been extremely varied and certainly not the way I had originally planned it. But variety, as they say, is the spice of life, and my career has been extremely varied. Along the way, I became a mum and then moved from the classroom into leadership. This has continued in my current role working for Newbridge. So, some fun facts about the education sector. Well, it employs approximately 118,000 people who earn on average £31,000 a year. The education sector is probably one of the most advertised across Greater Manchester. So, but what qualifications do you need? Well, you do need some essential qualifications, but you also need relevant skills too. And a really important aspect of your role is passion, your ability to communicate well, be a team player. I certainly couldn't do my role without my team, and I've got 2 of them on the call with us today. And finally, resilience, never give up. So there are multiple routes into the education sector where I work. Isn't that right, Amy?
Thanks, Liz. Yes, that is correct. Good morning, everyone. I'm Amy and I work within Newbridge's Central Human Resources team as a HR assistant. And as Liz said, there are multiple routes into the education sector if you are looking for a career in education. These routes include academic routes such as A-levels and university degrees. There are T-levels which offer classroom learning and workplace experience, and Newbridge will be supporting T-level students for the first time in the next academic year by offering T-level placements at some of our schools, which we're very excited about. There are also technical qualifications such as apprenticeships, again, which Newbridge supports. And depending on your interests and what role within education you want, that might determine which route you take. Generally, I think it's fair to say that when you think of a career in education, you might automatically think teacher or teaching assistant. However, there are so many other roles within Newbridge that play a big part in the educating of our young people and making Newbridge a safe and successful place for everyone. In fact, teachers only make up a small portion of our workforce. Newbridge employs around 1,000 people working across 13 sites and various departments. And if you're thinking about a career in education, it is definitely worth having a look at the different roles that are available. If you think working directly with children and young people is something that you may enjoy, then you may look at a career in teaching or as a teaching assistant, or the welfare of students, such as pastoral and intervention work. Or you may not necessarily want to be in the classroom, but if you are good with computers, you may enjoy a role in IT, or if you're good with maths, you may like a role in finance. There are so many opportunities available. I personally don't work directly with our young people. However, what I do supports everyone across Newbridge. I have recently completed a level 3 apprenticeship in human resources, and I'd like to take a minute just to tell you a little bit about my journey. So I left education with my GCSEs. I was academic in school, I got good grades, so I was naturally signposted to the academic route. I went to college, I got my A-levels, I went on to university, studying journalism at the University of Central Lancashire. Had a thoroughly wonderful time at university. I had the opportunity to study abroad, but midway through my degree, I started to question what I wanted to do and realised it wasn't for me. So I left education. I took a role in health and social care, and I was in that sector for 10 plus years, during which time I did multiple technical qualifications and progressed through the ranks. And by the time I left that sector, I was in a managerial role. Things changed for me in 2019 when COVID hit, and it changed my sector drastically. So by the time that we'd gone through the pandemic and we was coming out the other side, I was looking at other things to do. And I entered the education sector, and shortly after entering education, I took an apprenticeship in HR, which is completely different to what I'd done before. But throughout my previous experiences, throughout all the knowledge and skills that I gained along the way, all them skills, they transferred into my new role. And I guess the moral of my journey is that career paths aren't linear. It's okay to switch lanes if you're not happy in your role. The most important thing is to find something that you enjoy. So that's just a little bit about my journey. I'm going to pass you over to Waj so he can tell you a little bit about his.
So, in terms of where I began, my journey started all the way in the Hathershaw College in my secondary school. Now, despite the support systems that I'd put in place for young people with additional needs, I still found myself struggling with coping with a louder and busier environment. Fortunately, I eventually moved to a wonderful specialist secondary school called the Hollandwood Academy, which further prepared me for my future opportunities. Due to the amazing support of my teachers and the support staff, I was able to develop my skills and prepare for the next step of my journey. I attended Newbridge College and Future Finders Employability College. My passion has always been digital and media creation, which aligns with the MBacc and ambition. I was also instrumental in the creation of the Trust digital art business. Earlier this year, I applied for a level 3 business administration apprenticeship role, working as a member of the Trust central team. And hey, you'd be surprised as what is involved and how fulfilling this type of job role can be. I'm loving it, and I encourage you all to be aspirational too.
Thank you, Waj and Amy, for sharing your journeys with us all this morning. We'd also like to hear from you at Newbridge, even if you'd just like to volunteer. So you can get in touch with us via our email address, our socials, or having a look at our website. We've also put some QR codes on the screen as well for you to explore some of the journeys of some of our young people. Now it's over to you, so we'd love to hear some questions from you. Thank you.
Fabulous, thank you. Just waiting for, whilst we're waiting for some questions to come along in the chat, I've got a question. So what is your favourite thing about working in the education and early years sector?
Thanks, Felicity. My response around that, love working with people, whether they're little or big people. Every day is really different. It's varied, it's unique, it's challenging, it's inspiring. Certainly when you see, I suppose, the meaningful futures that we help to create here at Newbridge. I love my job. I feel very lucky to do what I do. Amy, do you want to respond?
Just very much reiterate what you've just said, creating the meaningful futures. As Liz said earlier as well, there's some QR codes in the slide previous, and you'll be able to look at some of the journeys of our young students into employment, and just really reiterate what Liz has just said.
Thanks, Amy. Waj, did you want to add anything?
Speaking on the journeys of young people, I would say that I'm a prime example of that, being somebody who's gone through the Newbridge system, who started at Hollandwood Secondary School and now has actually been employed by the Trust. So I'd say creating meaningful futures is really what the Trust is all about.
Fab. And we've got another question in the chat now. So someone has said, what advice would you give for your younger self?
That's a great question, especially when I'm 30 years into my career. For my younger self, I wouldn't have changed the path that I've had. I was determined, I was resilient, I was passionate. And as Amy said earlier, it's okay to change lanes. And actually, it's not linear. So be open-minded. And I think that's what I would have said to my younger self. Be open-minded, because you just don't quite know where your journey will take you. But be determined as well. Amy, do you want to add anything?
Again, reiterate what you've just said, but also add as well, do what you enjoy to do. You'll find your passion, you'll find your niche, you'll find your skill set. Just follow that, and then, yeah, good things will happen if you always do things that you enjoy and you feel passionate about.
Fab, thank you. I think that's all we have time for today. So a huge thank you to Newbridge for sharing your stories with us. And thank you for all of you for joining us today. So you should already have a session card to help you explore more about education in early years. So if not, please ask your teacher to share this with you. GMAX is your Greater Manchester Apprenticeship and Career Service platform, where you can find out lots more information about careers, apprenticeships and opportunities open to you. Many of you are already using this, so please speak to your teachers and find out more about this. For teachers, parents or carers joining us today, we've added a link in the Q&A to a feedback form, so please take a moment to complete this on behalf of your students or your children. Your feedback is really important to us and how we improve these sessions in the future. So thank you again for joining us, and have a fantastic morning. Thanks very much.